So this is a really quick how-to in using solver in your TI-84 calculator. Alright, I'm going to show you how to use solver to make quick work of all your problems that involve solving and exponential equations. Okay, so here's a sample exponential equation with some letters tossed in here. I usually stands for the initial value times the base to the kt. A is over here, the output or the amount. Alright, so, if you haven't taken college algebra, you're not taking college algebra, and you haven't got to exponentials, then this is going to be confusing to you. Maybe you don't need to use solver quite yet. So follow along if you can. So I took out f of t, and now I just have my equation. Now I'm rewriting it in inline form for the calculator to use. And now I'm doing something weird. I'm taking the a and moving it over to this side so that the left-hand side is 0, and it looks like this. And that's because solver needs your equations with a 0 on the left-hand side. And then we're going to put it in y0 so that we can recall this whenever we want to. It's very easy. It's saved in our way in our calculator. So here we go. What's the first step? A lot of this is stuff that you should already know about using your calculator, so if you don't know, you're going to have to go back to some of the simpler how-tos. So I'm pressing y equals, and I'm going all the way down to the bottom, and I'm entering in that expression. Notice how I have actually 3 expressions in here. You might want to put the video on hold and type all 3 of these expressions in. This one helps you to calculate the effective rate. This one helps you to calculate questions involving finite compounding. This one is obviously the exponential equation, and it can be used obviously for continuous compounding cases, which makes use of the exponential base b. So how do you type in expressions like this? You do alpha, and then you'll see the letter keys are right here. So alpha I in this case. Whoop. See, I made a mistake. Alpha I, right, times alpha b, and so on. So make sure you get those parentheses in the right spot, right? It's important. Okay, so once you have that in there, and like I said, you can turn the video off and take your time, you go like this. You hit the math key, and the one you're after is at the very bottom. So the easiest thing to do is scroll up once, and you get up at the very bottom with solver. So you press enter, enter to solver, and now your thing may look like this. If it doesn't look like this, then keep scrolling up until you get the one that says equation solver, EQN, 0 equals, and then some garbage. You want to hit the clear key to clear out the garbage. And now you're going to hit the vars key in order to insert y0. So vars, scroll to the right for y vars, press enter to function, scroll down until you get to y0, press enter one more time, and now you're looking at the screen that has the solver. And notice the letters that were in your equation should all appear here. I, B, K, T, and A. And if they don't, then you made a mistake entering, and you've got to go back to the y equals screen. Okay? Now we're going to actually do a problem so that you see how this works in action. So here's my little problem. Home prices are falling 15% a year. In how many years will a house lose half its value? And now there's a second question. If the value of a house is currently $750,000, what will be its worth in 10 years? So let's work on the first one because that's a forward problem, an evaluation problem. So I'm going to put in 750, 1, 2, 3, that's my initial value, is currently 750,000. It's going to be 10 years later, all right? And it's home prices are falling 15% a year. 15% a year. So if I'm going to use the continuous compounding case, then I could use a B of 2.71518 and put in 15%, which would be 0.15, or excuse me, minus white key minus 0.15. But I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to do it without k. I'm going to put 1 in for k. And instead, I'm going to do 15% in the base. Okay? So how do you do that? 1 minus 0.15, which happens to be 0.85. 0.85. Okay, so there's my values for my problem. And all I got to do is put my cursor on what I want, which is the output value, what will it be worth in 10 years. So I put it on A, and then I do this. Alpha, alpha, solve, which happens to be the enter key. Alpha, solve. Alpha, solve. So here I go with the cursor on A. Alpha, solve. And it tells me that it'll be worth 147,000, about 655 bucks. $147,655. Okay, how about the first problem? In how many years will a house lose half its value? Okay, well, this is an interesting problem because they didn't tell me what the initial value was, but they said half. So now I'm going to be tricky on using the solver. I'm just going to say, it doesn't matter what the house was worth to begin with. Say it was worth 100 bucks. That's silly. But when I put in the final value, A, I'm just going to put in half that amount. Half that amount. Okay? So doesn't matter. I could have put in 1,000 and 500 or 10,000 and 5,000. Okay? Just something easy that I can put in there. I could have put in just as well 2 and 1 if I wanted to. So the rate base doesn't change, the factor. This doesn't change. And all we're trying to do is figure out how long. So we put the cursor on T this time. And once again, we're going to do alpha, enter, which is solve. And it tells me 4.26. So 4.26 years for half the value. There. A quick and very essential lesson in using solver to make your life easy.